Good morning. My name is Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
I'm here from Las Vegas. Hello.
100 on black. Go ahead.
Black's a winner, always. As a lifelong member of the LGBTQ community,
Yeah.
I take offense and object to the term that is so freely used, love the sinner, hate the sin. Because in actual practice in our society, what that means is that the people who use that say, oh, I'm so wonderful, I'm just gonna love you, and you are gonna change and be exactly like I want you to be, because I believe with all my heart that you're a sinner, and I'm going to get brownie points in heaven because I loved you enough to make you change.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Our job here is not to change people. Our job here is simply to love them. What they do with that is their business.
Yeah, so let me speak to that. Thank you very much. If somebody's judging you in your particular sexual preference or whatever it is, as long as whatever you're doing isn't hurting anyone else or taking their freedoms and rights away, it is by definition your right to express and your truth and your nature. And so if you're the person that's saying, oh, I love you, sinner, but I hate your sin, they're the one that's actually sinning. Sinning is an archery term that means to miss the mark. So your role is to love the sinner and hate the sin. So that's how we have to flip it, right? And I know that's a charged term, sin and sinner. But again, all it really means is it's an archery term. There's so much about religion that's so misunderstood. I could just go down and tell you about just all of the ways that it was misinterpreted and all of that. So that's an example where the role, let's say, of the LGBT community, of the real thought leaders, is going to need to be, don't make the parents wrong that are freaking out because their kids are gay suddenly, or they realize it and all the stuff it's doing to them. Don't make the religions wrong because they're freaking out and afraid. Remember, they're just hooked by a program. That's it. They're running a program that to them is real. It's true. They don't know the difference. And even if they think they know and they think whatever, they're still hooked by a program. And so if we hate them, we're hooked by the same program. We're just playing right into it. So as change makers, thought leaders, influencers, healers, we have to get unhooked, right? And that's why, when Martin Luther King, was speaking, whatever, and some guy spit on him, he didn't hate the guy. He took his handkerchief, he wiped the spit off, and he says, excuse me, sir, I think this belongs to you. Like, they weren't wimps. Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Jesus, these were badasses. These were revolutionaries. We weren't pushovers, but they weren't coming from anger and attack or judgment or projection, at least for the most part. I'm sure they have their stuff. I know they do. I mean, we know Jesus may have had a drinking problem. So other than that, he probably should have hydrated more out in the desert and all that. Just looking for lightning, just make sure. And I understand that whole experience. I mean, I'm the father of, actually both of my kids are gay, and my sister and my aunt. I mean, we're one big happy family. So I understand all the ins and outs of that conversation, but it's another example of where real thought leadership is needed. Same thing with the Me Too movement. Real thought leadership is needed. Not men are bad, toxic masculinity. You're just part of the problem. In each of these highly charged topics, capitalism, Western capitalism, the patriarchy, the hierarchy, men didn't make up the hierarchy. It's been here for millions of years. It shows up everywhere where a society develops, apes, there's hierarchies. Western civilization didn't create it. And that's why we're getting into these conversations in your own unique niche or domain to understand where you get snagged, where you get triggered. It doesn't mean you can't be angry and upset. Once it's cleared up, you can have righteous fire, righteous indignation, but it's not coming from a reaction or from judgment. When I'm working with a client, I am a fierce stand for their freedom. And I will get in the ring and box with their patterns as long as it takes. I will bring the sword of truth in service of love. I will not back down. I will not let that pattern, thank you. Because as I've cleared those patterns of asshole, son of a bitch, bossy, pushy, controller, all the masculine issues, and also all the feminine ones of, being selfish or being weak or vulnerable, whatever it is. I'm just a channel for that, and it'll be very, very intense sometimes. But the experience of it is they don't feel judged. They feel like finally somebody is willing to stand for me no matter what. They don't give a shit what I think about them. And that's where we want to bring ourselves, is that we got ourselves, and now we can have others. And we don't acquiesce, because when we think we're helping somebody, whether it's LGBT or Me Too or our family or our clients, by acquiescing, by not saying what we know we need to say, by not saying the hard truths, we're not doing that for them. We're doing that for ourselves. It's a manipulation. You follow? So we got to clean up our act, and we'll get to more of that today. Let's give a big round of applause over here again.